Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Well, it's not really a show, it's just me. I just had some thoughts while I was walking to work this morning. I saw a video that was a bit disturbing. It was about the UN and Google teaming up to make sure they bring you the correct information about climate change. Alright, so I'm not going to get in a debate about climate change. It's not about that. I'm not a climate change denier. I believe the science is right. I just think a lot of the conclusions are a bit askew. What can I say? Whenever there's an opportunity for money and power and humans are involved, there's always corruption, and that is what it is. So again, not here to debate climate change, and I'm someone who always says, keep an open mind, and it's all about the conversation. I like to have a conversation and debate. There's always two sides. But in this case, I think it should send up red flags when you hear the UN will team up with Google to ensure, the algorithm that's happening in the background of the search engine is going to skew results in a certain direction. No matter how they spin it, no matter how they say it, that's exactly what's happening. And again, it's irrelevant whether they're right or wrong. It's just about when you hear about any large group or corporation and they are affecting open and free knowledge, that's got to be scary. Let me wind this back to say, do you remember libraries? Wow, what's a library? Well, the library was the internet, believe it or not. The library was information in the form of books. The difference about the library is it was all free, raw information at your fingertips. Took a little bit longer. It didn't come to you right on your phone. You had to actually go to the library. But the point is you would use your own brain as a human, and if you were looking into something that you were researching, or if you were writing a paper or something, you would have to find the books and find the facts for yourself. And you would decide for yourself what you took on board and what was right or wrong. And you could fact check whatever you want. It was up to you. The world trusted that you were smart enough to figure that out. So everyone just assumes, well, that's what Google is now. Google is the power of the internet. Yeah, I get that. I was there at the beginning of the internet and believed in its altruistic approach that all the world's information is now going to be in one place. And it's amazing. Like anything, like all technology, there's good and bad. There's positives and negatives. It's usually the human element that ends up screwing it up. But if you think that all information is now just digitized and on the internet and ready for you to look up, it's not true. And things like this that come out in the news, and the thing is they're proud to say it. They're proud to say they're teaming up so they can skew the data in a certain direction, and that certified UN information will come up as the primary results from typing in climate change. Again, if you don't see a problem with that, and they also say things, and these phrases crack me up, they're just another veil of lies. So they'll say something like, well, we own the science. You own what? You own the science? That sounds like some COVID-ass Fauci shit going on. Remember all that? We own the science. What the hell is that bullshit? Nobody owns the science. If Einstein was looking into gravity and was reading the books, Newton's really got this locked up, and he really does own the science. No, we wouldn't have the theory of relativity if he didn't decide to poke around with that. That phrase disgusts me. My high school science teacher never stood in front of the class and said, all right, everyone, get ready for your experiments. But remember, I own the science, so don't debate me and don't ask questions. I own the science. What the hell is that? Science and math are supposed to be one of the purest things that actually constantly try to disprove themselves. That's their job, and that's what's amazing about it. It's always being questioned. Nobody owns it. So yeah, we own the science. Melissa Fleming from the UN says. And we're going to team up with Google to make sure that the correct results come up. The correct results. Again, I'm not a climate denier. I'm not getting into that debate. I'm just saying, when you hear that, does that sound right to you? Who says the correct results? This is going down the path of the White House. If you remember this, the Biden White House wanted to have their misinformation committee. Look that up. Fact check that. Do you remember that? That went away. But it was a real thing that was coming. The misinformation committee. Again, that sounds right. You don't want people to have misinformation. But who decides what's misinformation? And I'm sorry, that's getting too damn close to the Ministry of Truth. And now you're smack dab in the middle of George Orwell's 1984, and welcome to the police state. Welcome to the fascist police state. The Ministry of Truth. Tell me that doesn't sound just like, the Committee on Misinformation. And again, I'm not making these things up. These aren't conspiracy theory things. These are facts that people in control, people in power are trying to do right now. And again, if that doesn't worry you, then I don't know what does. That worries me. When anyone tries to control information in a certain direction and they don't want you to debate it, and if you do debate it and you're on the wrong side of their narrative, you are vilified, canceled, classified as a racist, anti-government, anti-America, anti-people, and you're done. You're canceled. And I just don't know when we got to that. So yeah, that worries me. That really frightens me. I did think, Google was, it's an amazing thing. It is amazing to have all that information there, and for people all around the world to be able to connect, and that's the wonderful part of it. But when you start getting oversight as to what information is correct and what's inappropriate based on whose narrative and whose opinion, that's worrisome. And if you're worried about, what about kids? Your kid can get on there and see something, that's inappropriate. That's a whole other thing. And if your kid's on there doing that, maybe you're a bad parent. What can I say? At some point, kids are going to learn about everything anyway. So keep them off the internet until they're age appropriate to use their own brain to figure out what's right and wrong. And they should get what's right and wrong from you. And if they have questions, they should be able to come to you. So I go with bad parent. So we're talking about adults here, okay? I'm talking about kids with going on and seeing something they shouldn't. I'm talking about information. I'm not talking about porn. That's a whole different thing. Again, don't leave your kids on the internet if you don't want them to see that. But as adults, I should be able to search whatever I want, get the good, the bad, and the ugly, and I'll figure it out for myself. I don't know, maybe we're doing it to ourselves. Maybe it's our own problem. Maybe because people prove themselves to be big panicky mobs. I remember watching this scene in Men in Black, and of course this is in the 90s when things were different. But I remember the scene where he was saying, why don't you let people know about all the aliens, Men in Black, they were the ones, the secret sort of government guys, keeping the fact that aliens were on Earth. If you haven't seen Men in Black, I can't help you. But he asked them, why don't you just let people know? He said, people are smart, they can handle the truth. And he goes, no, a person is smart, people are dumb, panicky animals. And when they get into that mob mentality, that's what happens. So that's why they have to keep it a secret. So is that it? Is that the mentality, that we have to be kept in the dark for our own good? Because if we find out the truth, we'll freak out? Have we done that to ourselves? If so, that's quite sad. Because if you're not operating with all the information, you can't make the right choices. And the choices you make are only at the behest of someone else who has more power than you over the information that you looked up. It's as simple as that. That's not conspiracy, that's just truth. If you're looking for information and you're not getting all of it, the decision you made is always going to be a bad one, because it'll be an incomplete decision. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, the UN gets together with Google so they can make sure your search results are monitored. Again, did we learn anything when Elon Musk took over Twitter? Again, go ahead and fact check the hell out of me. But he found that there was heaps of collusion between Twitter and the White House to suppress certain information and results and raise up other ones. It doesn't matter which one it was. I don't care if you're on the left or the right or what part of the political aisle you're on, or if you're mainstream right down the middle. That's just not right. It's not truth. You know? Train. I could go one step further, and I'll leave it with this. This is the same thing we're going down the road with AI. You know, AI, you could say, oh well, it's just a difference engine that's taking, you know, it's reflecting what it's seeing. It's just an echo chamber of what we put into the internet. So it's getting its intelligence from that. Yeah, okay. It's gathering all the information of what we put in, and it could be just a mirror to what we're saying and thinking. But unfortunately, it still comes down to the programmer and the person programming it on what to do with that information. And again, whatever you believe, if you've ever used any of the AI chatbots, when you look up certain information, it does tend to skew towards a certain narrative or political view, which I think is just hilarious, because that doesn't sound like an unbiased, fair result. And then artificial intelligence, yeah, it is artificial intelligence, and just like humans, it can be swayed based on what it was taught. Okay, it's like a child, as simple as that. And who's teaching the child? The people programming it are teaching the child. And then that child grows up to have their belief system, whatever it may be. I'm just being honest. AI doesn't spring from itself. Someone somewhere had to write the programs and the algorithms and all the information on how it discerns the information. So I'm just saying, what is honest and open these days? What is free? Freedom of speech and information? Well, it's not Google. It's just not. And that makes me sad. But what can you do? Because people are getting so much information now, you know, on health and things about their lives. And, you know, I don't think Google's the answer for everything. Like I say, it's not the library. It's not all information digitized. It's information digitized, but then scrutinized and monitored. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Curious what you think, but I don't know. Be afraid. Be very afraid. All right, catch you later.